out in the house. These are the heavyweights in the fight. Nino Rodriguez is obviously the champion heavyweight of all of us, right? He's the only heavyweight the world knows is a heavyweight.
Overweight now.
Hey, don't be stealing my nicknames and shit like that. But I will tell you, you guys can be proud of me. I got 3 months of workouts in 3 times a week.
Oh, that's good.
My jeans yesterday all by myself.
No, that's good.
Big boy pants now. That's good. I like it.
Yeah, I know. No matter how bad, how even much it hurts me, I still get on the treadmill, man. I'm running sprints, and dude, I'm just trying. Man, being a heavyweight sucks.
Oh, yeah.
On the knees and on the back and everything.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, I've seen you, and you're a specimen. And a heavyweight like you has big joints to handle it. When I used to weigh as much as you do, I have tiny joints, and it wreaked hell on me. That's why I walk like I do.
Oh, geez, yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot going on, guys. I don't know if you guys heard Tulsi Gabbard break the news that Obama was behind the.
That's why you're here tonight. That when I saw this, I'm like, we got to get the guys on the playing field to go down this road, because this is pretty exciting stuff, guys.
I don't think we have much. Dude, you cannot be trolling Obama the way Trump is right now, and an arrest not come within the next few weeks is the way I see it. Now, I know we've all been told to wait till October, but I don't even think we have that. I mean, to be honest with you, with what we're seeing, Tulsi Gabbard just now came out and said that Obama was behind one of the assassination attempts on Trump.
No shit.
Yep, she just did.
Whoa. Today?
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
I don't have it from her, Nino. Do you have it? I had it from somebody in her camp leaked the information. Do you have it from her?
I have. This is apparently on Newsmax. It says right here. I'll read it to you guys. Do you guys want me to read it?
Yeah.
Please.
Okay. So Juan sent me this. He said, breaking DNI, Tulsi Gabbard confirms former President Obama authorized assassination attempt on Trump. Washington, D.C., July 21st, 2025. And what may become the most explosive revelation in U.S. political history, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard announced that declassified intelligence files directly implicate former President Barack Obama in authorizing covert assassination attempt on the President-elect Donald Trump. The files, set to be publicly released, detail a sprawling top-secret program initiated in the final 30 days of Obama's presidency with the explicit goal of preventing Trump forever taking office. Operation Silence was not just surveillance, it was an organized multi-agency plot to eliminate the president-elect, Gabbard said. During the emergency intelligence briefing, the documents outline everything from recruitment of black ops teams to manipulation of communications to the final phase, physical removal. According to sources close to the investigation, a failed attempt on Trump's life is thwarted only days before the inauguration, thanks to an anonymous whistleblower inside the National Security Command Center. Redacted transcripts reveal that Obama, under the pretense of national security, convened an off-the-books task force of senior intelligence officials and military advisors at Camp David in late December. One document marked Eyes Only 44 reads, the threat Trump poses to institutional stability cannot be overstated. Removal, if necessary, is justified. While Obama has not commented publicly, legal teams are reportedly mobilizing behind the scenes as the files prepare to go public. The country teeters on the edge of political reckoning, and the question now isn't whether there was a plot, but how far it went and who else was involved. It says Newsmax here. Juan O'Savin sent me that. So I just finished the show with him. So, all this stuff is coming out, and I don't even know what, one thing's breaking after another with all this stuff. So that's...
Yeah, Juan was on a show last night with me, and I was like, "There's no way they're gonna get Juan. They're gonna go military tribunal." I was like, "How are they gonna do that?" So he basically outlined.
Yeah, Mike, you're breaking up pretty bad.
So give it back to getting those guys behind bars. Yeah.
You restate that, Mike?
So military tribunals, I believe, is definitely on the table because of the election steal.
Yeah, that has to be, Mike. That has to be military, because, and correct me if I'm wrong. Is anything treason related go right to military tribunal, or can you try that in a regular civilian court?
I've heard this is, well, from what Juan said. Mike's breaking up pretty bad, but what Juan said, what Juan told me is that this will go straight to military tribunals. There'll be some moves and shifts here and there in the beginning, but it'll ultimately go military, and it has to happen on Trump's watch to oversee all this as commander in chief. This isn't going to be something that takes years, from my understanding, is what I'm getting at here. This is not something that's going to take months. This should happen pretty fast, from what I understanding, and it's not like it's not going to be like a P Diddy thing to where the guy goes and hires lawyers and he's able to get off the hook, get a slap on the wrist. This is going to be serious, from what I'm hearing.
I'll throw this at you, Nino, and then Lewis, if you want to comment on this. I think the line of demarcation here is this, and it's the one post we saw, and we had different ideas back in 2017 or 18, but the one post said the first arrest will send shockwaves.
That's right.
And I can tell you, and Mike, what I was saying is, the one post that kind of is that demarcation line that tells us when we know this is 100% going down, the real takedowns coming out into the open in front of the whole world, when Q dropped and said the first arrest will send shockwaves. And we all thought about who would it be? Would it be Hillary, whoever? We thought maybe it was Trump because they're trying to take him down. Nino, I think you nailed it. Because now that they have Obama on treason and assassination attempt on a sitting president that elect to keep from taking power, what would be a greater shock to the world than having the first black president in the United States, a socialist communist, and CIA controlled through the Bush machine since he was a baby right into the White House, taking this guy and putting him in front of the world, arresting him for treason? And another thing that I remember, a lot of posts jump out at me that kind of stick, and the other one was that the punishment for all this is going to be so definitive that nobody will ever try anything like this again in history. So my belief is you're talking heads off in public, not literally figuratively.
I agree.
Although, right, Nino? You think the same,
Definitely
Lewis?
Execution.
In front of the world.
Got to be.
But let's also think of this. So when Obama gets arrested, now imagine the liberals and even the blacks in America, okay? The liberal blacks, they're going to go ape shit. They're going to go bonkers over this. BLM, Antifa, all of it, they're going to hit the streets. I guess that's when we see the real civil unrest, because we've seen parts of it here and there in LA and the illegal immigrants, but this, I would bet money that's when this kicks off, because if this happens and Obama gets arrested when it happens, all bets are off, man. I don't know what to expect. I don't know how the country's going to react to that. I'm sure all of us have family members, friends that are liberal that love Obama. They see their hero get taken down, dude. That's a fist fight, or more. I mean, anything can happen. I'm just saying, like, this is going to be bonkers if this happens.
I'd be like,
I'm
hey, Barry.
with the illegal aliens that have been brought here to basically war against us. The Chinese illegal aliens. We have people that have been over in Middle East that have been fighting us for a long time, and we have let them fight us, I believe, because of the deep state, not doing rules of engagement. I've talked about this for 10 years. The rules of engagement overseas were just insane. So they were allowing these guys to get trained up, and then they've been bringing them across the border, and even the northern border. Because Juan said that yesterday. Yeah, we've probably had more come across the northern border terrorists than we have across the southern border. Wow. So we have really been hit, both ways, and they're all in our cities. And I feel for the liberals, because they've allowed them to come in, thinking they're doing the right thing. Like everyone should have the right to be an American, and they don't have to go through the process or whatever. They're going to get hammered in those big cities.
I think, from what I'm hearing, the Border Patrol and everyone here, like my friends that are involved, are telling me, dude, we are stopping all kinds of military grade weaponry. We're stopping all kinds of biological agents. We're stopping all kinds of chemicals coming over here. We don't know what's getting through.
Yeah.
This is just what we're stopping. And they're confiscating and intercepting tunnels. I mean, it's bad, man. And it's like, I don't know. I really, I think there is some, in all common sense here, something has to kick off, because it doesn't make sense that they're trying that hard to get everything over here. And they have their military age men here. They have everybody here ready to go. The question is not if, but when.
Yeah.
And my guess is as good as anybody else's. My guess would be during an arrest time, I guess. I mean, that'd be my guess, right?
Yeah, he's the boy. He's been developed, just like Trump was developed and put in that position. Nino, you guys did an excellent job of talking about this a couple of days ago. And you're groomed for certain things within the deep state, and of course in the good guy side. So Trump was groomed, Obama was groomed. So you have both of these head to head. Look how they've come after Trump, through lawfare, through assassination attempts. It's deep state has really come after him, and now they're going to come after us because we're all in on it now. So they like to eliminate anyone that
now.
Look at JFK.
Where have you been, Mike? Now
I'm pretty sure, Mike, they're coming after Lewis, myself, and Nino. They ain't coming toward you. They don't want that.
they don't. Yeah, exactly. And they've been coming after my ass for years. Well, it's like, what else can you do? So here's what's interesting. So I got the same text that you got, Nino. And so, me, first thing I did to try to verify it. It's nowhere on Newsmax. Tulsi's not talking anything about this. But it appears to be a leak, as you said, with Inside, and it seems completely credible. The way Tulsi's coming out so hard, she goes, it's definitely a conspiracy. It's definitely this. So this is just incredible. This is going to be the next thing to drop. Now, the question is, how is the administration going to handle it? I frankly think this tribunal was done a long time ago, and I don't think it was even done within the continental United States. But that's my own deal, my own information. But set that aside for the public. In order to prevent or at least reduce the amount of backlash that we get, I think what the Trump administration is going to do, and Tulsi Gabbard in particular, is maybe before the arrest, they will lay out the scenarios, and they'll lay out a lot of the evidence ahead of time. So at least there's a lot that they can reduce from this. Because, for example, if they go and arrest him today, the riots start immediately, right? But if they would lay out the evidence ahead of time, a week or two ahead of time, they're going to get at least 40 to 50% of those people that would have been triggered to be like, well, maybe we're not going to activate, and then they're only going to have mainly the crazies and the paid agitators, which are going to be easier to handle than all the other people that just go crazy for no reason. So I have a feeling, and I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that they'll slow roll out the evidence, more and more and more and more evidence, and they may even include Big Mike being a man in this, and then include proof of Kenya.
That'd be a good little additive.
Right. But think about if they take a week or 2 weeks and they lay out all the evidence, and then they prove Big Mike is a dude. Those are not their children, and they prove that he's actually Kenyan. Then you're going to diffuse a lot of the anger, because people are going to say we were duped, and their anger turns towards who now? It turns towards the deep state actors. And by the way, if I was advising, feel free to call me Trump anytime. If I was advising, I would suggest that they include the Bush connection in there, so they do not make it look like it's a Republican biased attack. It's purely a deep state attack.
Great point, Lewis. Great point. And I think that's critical and it's necessary. And there's one thing I will point out here. Also, I mean, and I pointed this out with Ricardo Bossi one time. He nearly fell out of his chair. So I said, can you imagine, had none of this ever happened in this country from the start of the Q-op to Trump throwing sand into gears in 2016 so they couldn't steal the election, and everything has been exposed. If none of this would ever have happened, can you imagine the travesty upon the world of never learning about Big Mike?
Yeah.
Thanks, Joan Rivers. Yeah. Life for that.
I mean, yeah, Joan Rivers died because of that.
Or did she?
We could say that.
Or did she? Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Did she?
Now we've already started to see the mud flood of information come out on Obama. His mother was a CIA honeypot. She never gave birth to him. He was basically given to her. And Stanley Ann Dunham, I posted on my X account. She shows pictures. I've had other people that have talked about this. I was like, well, we'll see. And here we are. So this is a massive dump of information. The guy that was, his cook that died, he was like a champion swimmer, and he was like in excellent shape, and he died in 4 feet of water in his lake out. So he was about ready to reveal on Barack Obama. He was a one-year lover of Barack Obama, and so all of this stuff is dumping now. So you're right, Lewis. They're going to try and get as much of this information out there so they won't get so much crazies. But we've talked about a 10 days of darkness. This could be it coming.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
I'll tell you, they need to corral.
They would have to stop it. They would have to clog the dam they'd have to somehow clog the break of the dam, which is happening right now because there's so much stuff coming out. And if you look at Trump's Truth Social with frequency and consistency, he's constantly now putting stuff out on Obama, so much so that he had AI showing him getting arrested. I mean, how much effort does that take? I don't know. But dude, I mean, come on, bro. Like, I mean, you're putting that out there, the president of the United States. That's not like he's trolling him. That means I'm coming. When's he coming? Yes. So they're gonna have to stop. They're gonna have to dam up this onslaught, this flood of information that's coming out. You made a good point, Mike. I think that's very true. I think this would be the time, wouldn't it?
Well, when all this opposition goes against him, all this opposition
is because the bad guys have communication. I've seen this overseas. We've done this. The bad guys have communication. So you're shutting down the bad guys being able to communicate and do all the raids around the cities. So the military is going to come in and probably hammer that as fast and as hard as they can. But it's still going to get out of control. There's not enough military. I guarantee there's not enough military is going to be able to handle all this.
So you're saying, Mike, that neutralizing, having cutting off their comms, just like that makes sense. Yeah. Because again, those posts also said that this would be put down very hard and very fast, basically with.
I think you said pinpoint precision.
What's that?
You got frozen. I think you said pinpoint precision.
Yes, they're shutting off the comms would explain it. I mean, you could probably calm them all down. Say, look, folks, calm down. Barry's actually pretty excited about this because he knows he's going to get 3 squares a day and all the sex he can handle now. Why are you going to feel bad for the guy, right?
He'll always be the receiver, though. I don't know if he likes that or not.
Well, why they call Big Mike for a reason? That's a direct indicator.
I guess so.
Mm-hmm. But if you think about the big, beautiful bill, I mean, now everything's in place for the domestic military, really. I mean, now the ICE agents, everything, now that's in place. Trump now has the army he needs to go in, do raids, home raids, whatever he has to do to take these people down. He has a military now. The domestic military is here, and it was all put in with the big, beautiful bill, at least amplified.
That's a great point,
So now that he has that, I mean, he's ready. I mean, the chess pieces are in order. He neutralized Iran, bombed the nuclear facility there. So now he knows they can't use that. Who knows what else he did behind the scenes? So the regime change in Iran. So he neutralized that threat. And so I think this is the opportune time to go after Obama, and I think this may be faster than we think, guys, because I mean, how long do you have to telegraph for before you do it? I mean, an AI video arresting the guy, and now like with what I'm getting, with what Juan sent me, and Juan's in Washington D.C. right now, he's having private meetings. He told me preparations are in order. I don't know. I mean, we all talk to a lot of the same people, so all I'm saying is I'm expecting. I've always thought the fall.
Any day now.
Yeah, but what do you guys? I mean, do you guys ever think any day now? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
I don't think it's weeks out. I think it's like any day now.
Or it may
How do
be
we
hot August.
prepare? How do we prepare, guys? Now this is going to start. What do we tell the audience? When this starts, obviously, what people got to remain calm. But how do they prepare for what's going to happen?
Stay away from liberals, dude. That's what I'm doing. They're going to be so supercharged and emotional and triggered. Dude, they are going to be beside themselves. Insane. And, dude, look at everything that's coming out with the Epstein right now and Trump. They've already started this narrative, so now they can be ahead of the ball. So they can just say, "Oh, Trump really is the rapist or the whatever, the likes young children, whatever Epstein connection." So that when he goes after Obama, that narrative is already out there, and they already got that. They're going to put that in their pocket, and dude, this is going to get. I bet you this gets ugly.
You guys mind if I run a quick 1.5-minute video? I want to show you what I just put a little bit earlier. This Kathy O'Brien sent this to me the other day, and it was she said that Mark said, and this video is anonymous, puts this post up, so you can tee that up, Lisa. By the way, Louis, thanks for introducing me to this girl, because she's made my life much, much easier. Yeah,
we're live on YouTube right now.
What's that?
We're live on YouTube.
Imagine this, the day after the real proof drops.
Can you restart that, Lisa? So listen to this viewpoint.
Imagine this, the day after the real proof drops. Not rumors or flight logs, but undeniable footage of world leaders doing hideous, unmentionable things to children. The world reacts with horror. Governments crumble. Markets collapse. Chaos spreads. Why? Because when power is suddenly removed without a plan, a vacuum forms, and nature abhors a vacuum. Now imagine you hold that proof. Evidence implicating presidents, billionaires, architects of global control. You could release it, or you could use it to force them to surrender, dismantle their networks, and retreat without war. That's not corruption, that's leverage. And leverage is how you remove power without triggering collapse. To the doubters who say Trump is on the list, ask yourself, if that were true, why did they deploy everything to stop him? Lawfare, fake investigations, a CIA-signed Russia hoax, even attempts on his life. If they had the leverage on Trump, they would have used it already. But they haven't, because they don't. I wish Trump didn't have to lie. I wish there were another way. Maybe this bizarre, out of sync with MAGA behavior is the wink and the nod. Maybe acting out of character is the message. This isn't about feelings. It's not about outrage or hashtags. It's about power and how it's strategically neutralized. You don't take down the Illuminati or New World Order with a lawsuit. You do it with leverage. Silent, invisible, world-shaping leverage. My friends, we are all anonymous, and welcome to the real world.
That makes the most sense to me beyond anything I've seen yet. And we always have to remember, everybody's flipping out about Trump. Again, what did we run around saying for the last 4 or 5 years? We found it in our posts. Disinformation is real. Misinformation is real. Misinformation is necessary. How can the people not remember that? And yet they flip out because of what Trump's doing here. I'm mystified by it. But at the end of the day, this particular video should explain to all of us, anybody who is a little fired up about this Epstein thing, can you see it now? I mean, think about it. I mean, we as I said earlier, we'd like to have heads taken off in the public of every one of these people. But what's more important, having them taken out in front of the world or stopping the slaughter of kids worldwide? The only thing that matters is shutting down this grotesque, satanic wood chipper that they're basically tossing these kids into. The other stuff can be dealt with in its own time and own way. And you and I, we know that. Mike, you've seen enough, and the background behind the veil of the military, what needs to be done outside of the purview of the people. They've got everything tuned up. I have no doubt that even though they're not using this to bring out and out people out into the public, they're going to be dealt with, every one of them. Some may cut deals that are, lesser offenders, or maybe had their backs against the wall to save their own lives, whatever. But the vast majority of these culprits and the people that were entrapping them into it, they're goners. there's nowhere. That's why I said that these people won't be able to walk down the street. Even if they cut a deal, they'll never be able to walk down the street.
No, and Juan and I talked about 9/11 even last night, and so the Bush family involvement. So we're talking about how, it's not just about the Democrats and Obama. That one video where you saw Trump posted it, where Obama's in prison at the end, they come and arrest him while Trump's sitting there in the White House. That's awesome. But before that, they had all of the Democrats saying, no one's above the law. And Democrat after Democrat after Democrat after Democrat, no one's above the law, no one's above the law. So now we're in their face. So what would be the next great thing that we could roll out? That would be 9/11, the hoax of 9/11 and the Bush family involvement in that. And we take down that too. Wow. So that would be stunning.
Add on the Zionist and Khazarian mafia involvement to that also. Sure. But that's the end game in my opinion. So I'm working in the background with a former congressman not named that is helping me deeply expose the 9/11 hoax through my campaign and hooking me up with some people that are very, very important. And he's worked in those administrations. Yep. He's got firsthand information on this. And I'm dumbfounded. Even today, my wife had a conversation that believes in a lot of the conspiracies, but doesn't believe that 9/11 was taken down with controlled demolitions, and as you say, Mike, possibly a do. It's just unbelievable that conversation is even out there anymore. So what I decided to do is I went all in today, and I posted. I said, I'm your only candidate running for governor that will embrace the Q conversation. Bring it.
Great. Your votes are going to skyrocket now because too many people are hidden. Because again, you had what they do coming out with the narrative. They use the Saul Alinsky method on everything. The CIA comes in with their BS conspiracy theory. Right. Most people retract it. I never did. I have never backed 1 inch on this Q op. Say whatever you want, but like my perspective is 35 years. And when I saw this chessboard around the world moving like it never has, I knew without a doubt, this is absolutely spot on. It's actually happening like I've never seen it. But I think if you do that, Lewis, you know how many followers there are that went through this with us, like in real time when it was unfolding? Millions and millions following that. Are you kidding me? So there you go, folks. Right there's your campaign donation pipeline. This guy is going to say the Q operation was the most legitimate disclosure we've had in human history.
Exactly right. And this is probably this reason, and my deep detail work with the exposing of the Khazarian mafia is why to this day X is so highly suppressing me. And this is X, guys, highly suppressing me. So now my first account had about 80,000. They deleted that when I posted about Khazarian mafia while Elon was running the company, by the way. I give him a pass because it was new. He probably didn't know the infiltration that he had. So I happen to have a backup account that I even forgot about. So I started promoting on that. Got that up to about 16,000. Now, I can't get 300 or 400 views per post. So I went on Grok. I said, "What's the average views that an account with 16,000 on X would get? Somewhere between 5 and 10,000 if it's quality content." Well, I'm not being arrogant, but I think I have pretty quality content, right? And I can't get that 5 to 10,000 per view. And then I went into it, and I said, "Let's put all the bullshit away about covering so on and so forth. Is there suppression of accounts? Is that something that exists?" And Grok said, "Well, it's not called shadow banning, but there's absolutely suppressions of accounts based on past behavior." That tells you right there. That's proof. I posted it. So that's proof that accounts are suppressed, highly suppressed. And then you add the fact on it that I'm the number one hit piece or target for the Southern Poverty Law Center. I'm sorry, they have a $500 million bank account. Yeah, that's a badge of honor, but it's also frustrating because what they do is they plant people in all these social media organizations, right? So they circumvent. It doesn't matter if Elon turns around and say everything's going to be fine. He's got tons of people with inside of the organization that, in my opinion, are getting paid on the side to make sure they're taking down certain people, right? So that's going to have to be exposed also. And I don't think that's something Elon's willing to admit, because it's a hard one to find. He doesn't know who's getting paid on the side, and I can tell you, I directly believe that support is involved in this. So X's support is involved in this too, because of the reactions or non-reactions and responses I get when I literally lay out the proof of these things happening. So we have a big battle in front of us, and social media is hugely still suppressing us. I can tell you, I've lost accounts just last week. So
I think one of the winks that Trump gave is having Stephen Colbert step down.
yeah, that
I
was
think that's proof right there that he has Epstein details on Colbert. We all seen the video. I don't know if it's still out there of him traumatizing that little kid.
God. Yeah.
That's like one of the worst videos I've ever seen. Made me want to vomit. Stephen Colbert is a monster, and I think he was taken down behind the scenes, and I think him stepping away from his late show is a sign. I also think another sign is when Donald Trump puts out Jimmy Kimmel Can Be Next. There you go. I mean, I don't know what people need to see. I mean, when you put stuff like that out, and now Obama being arrested, he's got it all, man. This to me shows me that he's got leverage, and he's using it, and they're stepping down. So that was the big wink for me.
Yeah, so Obama's birthday is 2 weeks from today, August 4th.
Oh,
That
damn.
would be a
Wouldn't that
nice
be
story
something?
for an arrest.
Oh, my gosh.
Wouldn't
Birthday.
that be something? Happy forking birthday, Barry. Come with us. We're taking you to the park.
What's his birthday? What day is his birthday?
August 4th.
Ooh.
2 weeks from
That's
today.
also August 3rd is Israel's, there's a holiday for a Jewish holiday. It's a Hebrew. I forgot what it is, August 3rd, for the temples that were destroyed or something like that. That's a big holiday. People that are watching probably can look that up. I didn't research it. I just had Bo Pony on telling me about it and some other people. But there's something that happens. It's 666 days from October 7th, 2023 is, I believe, August 3rd. And that is 2025, August 3rd, 2025. So what's going to happen on that day? That's 666 days from the October 7th attack on Israel, where paragliders penetrated the Iron Dome, whatever. And, so 660 days forward from there is going to be August 3rd. So, and then you said Obama's birthday is August 4th?
Yeah, somebody in the chat's posting also, August 3rd is 666 days from Hamas war started.
Yeah, that's on October 7th. So I think something's gonna. I don't know. I think something's gonna happen, man. Call me crazy, but I think it's there. The signs are there, and now that you said Obama's birthday is August 4th, I mean, geez, and Trump's already putting this stuff out. That'd be the perfect time to get him. Perfect. There's no better of a time.
Yeah, and you're right. And look, symbolism's everything to them. The actions that they take obviously are playing the numbers and dates and all that, but so are our guys. They all understand how it all works at Cosmos. They're going to try to do the same thing in the opposite direction. I think taking down Barry is obviously going to be probably the most iconic move in world history. But I think the most damaging and most revealing, and this is what you said, Mike, you said it, the Bushes. When they then, you talk about suppressing the emotions of the other side to show them this is not party, affiliated and ideologically driven. These are criminals. These are killers. And that's the first radio show I ever did. I think it was like early on. I was like right away, George H.W. Bush is a child trafficking, pedophile, murder, leader of the Fourth Reich, Nazi, drug runner for the CIA. And I thought, even when I got off that show, I was sick to my stomach. I'm like, oh my God, what did I just say in front of the world? People are going to say he's a freaking lunatic, and it was just going to evaporate. Well, it didn't. Even Revolution Radio, I apologize. They're like, what are you talking about? That was awesome. That's what Revolution Radio was like. I still had a nod every show for 6 months, only one night a week. So I had 6 months worth of Monday nights with a knot in my stomach because I'm saying this stuff and I'm thinking, you got to rein it in, Scott. And I'm glad I didn't, because now obviously, most of us have seen that this is the reality of the world. But that to me is going to be the master stroke. And you guys all know this, and the audience probably knows a lot. This is far beyond the Bush family. The other families are going to step into line of fire, are going to make us go, holy crap, who in here wasn't part of this? Because they're all facilitated to that level of power. If they get there, they either one of them or they came closer, they know about it. They're not clean. Nobody's clean at the top.
Well, it's interesting you'd say that, because we're all going to be excited about these disclosures, but these disclosures are probably 2-3 levels down from what's really happening. And that's what people still aren't talking about. They're gonna blame it on Obama, pin it on Obama. This is Obama's idea. This was completely his setup. Blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry. There's somebody controlling Obama, and the person that controls Obama, and the person that controls the person that controls Obama. That's just the reality of it. There's so much cover for these, and this is why I believe that probably the first thing that the operation took care of is they cut the heads off of all these snakes, is in my belief system. And the reason why it got so messy and confusing is I always liken it to what Rudy Giuliani had to deal when he dealt with the mob. So what they did is they went in immediately and they cut the heads off the snakes, first, sometimes second level. That's what they did. What happened after there is the vacuum, and the vacuum was filled by people that weren't as organized as the regular mob leaders. So it got extraordinarily messy for a while. And I think the same thing probably happened here, right? They cut the heads off who they needed to cut off, but then there was a vacuum, and people weren't getting direction anymore. So they started doing this and doing that. Let's just do weather warfare here and weather warfare here, and let's threaten this, and let's cause this riot and these fires, in my opinion, because they're trying to create some semblance of control, which they really don't have, and they have no guidance. From a war's perspective, that's the way I feel this has gone down.
Yeah. So Juan also said last night, because I said they're probably going to come out. I know, Nino, we all of us, I think the same thing. They're going to come out with something that's going to make 9/11 look like child's play. And he said, look at COVID-19. That was worldwide. There's nothing that can overcome that that's even more intense. Maybe in the U.S. specifically, there's going to be something more than 9/11, I think. But it's not going to be something like, the COVID-19. And I was like, wow, that's right. So we have them on COVID-19. We have them on election still. And we're probably even going to start to go back. I mean, look at Barry Sartaro, whatever his name is. He was not a U.S. citizen, or shouldn't have been, for election. They're probably going to come out with that tomorrow. So that he lied on his birth certificate. That's probably coming out. So there's going to be so much dump. Like we're talking about, I think that's brilliant. There won't be as many liberals that will, go crazy. Still, there will be, of course. There's nothing you can tell to some of these people.
I think there will be.
Oh, yeah.
Don't put anything by these people.
If we're looking at like 100 million, maybe we'll have like 90 million. I don't know. That's a big number. So I
was going to say, Mike, show me one, just one, who hasn't flipped out whenever you tell them that their side's forked. They're criminals. They go nuts. But yeah, I think you're right. Look, unfortunately, there are a lot of liberals, not a great percentage, a small percentage, who they're rational, they're reasonable people, but they still, they're programmed all their life, CNN, MSNBC, whatever they're watching, CBS. They just digest this shit every day. their neural networks are wired for it. And to break that, it's going to take something cataclysmic to shock them, right? To shock them and smash, this neural network that's been built over their life to pieces and make them start to question everything. So again, it comes back to, what is that going to be? The arrest of Obama creates chaos. The exposure of the Bushes creates real shockwaves because it's nonpartisan. What is the one thing that the world, do you guys think that they're going to reveal to everybody to calm them down, to show them, look, folks? And I guess some of us believe it's very possible they'll run the 24-hour, video proof of a lot of things for, however many days. But there's my belief is there's going to be one thing, because here it comes back to that one post. I forget, it's a bunch of long diatribe here in a post. And then in capital letters at the bottom, it says, the world will be united. Really? Like, how the hell do you unite this whole world?
Adrenochrome. Boom. That's it.
Okay.
I totally agree with you.
Everybody. They will say,
could be it.
Bring them up.
So think about this. So I've gone through the top 10 things in my campaign, what my opponents are running on. None of them are running on human trafficking, child trafficking. Not one on either side. You'll have somebody kind of mention it. Hey, there's grooming. Look at the grooming, guys. Let's pay attention to this. But they don't dive into it. They don't say the truth. It's the number one industry in California. Well, in the United States and the world. But they don't say it's the number one industry in California, which I can prove based on profit margins alone. I can prove that. So the fact that they're running from that means that's the thing that they're afraid of the most. Yep. And when that is exposed, like I say to people, I go, we will be united. And people say, you're crazy. I said, the reason why I'm running as a Democrat is because the whole Republican-Democrat construct is a construct of division. It's not a construct of unity. Trump used it to take down the Democrat Party, and then I believe he's gonna take down the Republican Party from inside. That's my belief. So
the Democrat Party won't even exist by probably the midterms.
I don't think you'll have a Republican Party in a few years either. I believe we're going to go to a no-party system. And why is that so important? Is because the number one most important thing you could do every 2 years is vote. Now, what we need to do is we need to motivate people to do their effing job and look into the candidate and stop saying, well, I'll just vote D, they're my guys, or I'll vote R, they're my guys. That's the worst thing you could possibly do. That's what they want you to do. And if you think the Republicans are on your side, getting you to vote all R's, you are deluded, and we need to fix you, because that's not what's happening. It's a uniparty, and we're being controlled by this nonsense, this fake division. Does that mean there's some good Republicans in there? There are. Some of them squeeze through on the vote. Some of them get through the primary. By the way, the good Republicans, most of them all get taken down in the primary because the deep state understands the games. They need one Democrat and one rhino, and then they can take a relax in the general election. Guys, this is the way it works. We can lay it out like this. So we are going to go against the division. And how am I going to do that really quick? Are you saying bye-bye?
Yeah, I'm out. I got to go. I got to get going. I love you guys, man. You all take care. Bless you.
So here's how we're going to go against the division. And I'm going to be very honest and completely open about this, which is important. I'm going to ask questions. Democrat, Republican, I don't care what you are. Let me ask you a question. Are you against pedophilia? Oh, okay. Are you against child trafficking? Human trafficking? Would you like lower energy costs? Are you against taxation and over taxation? Are you against parasites stealing your money? I can go through 10 things. Democrats and Republicans will agree on all of them. All of them. And if we do a Venn diagram on what we agree on and what we disagree on, we're going to find out that we agree on about 80 to 85% of everything. But you never hear about the 80 to 85%. Why is that? Because that does not divide. So we're going to get away from that division, and we're going to show you just a bit. And I'll say, guys, you're a loon if you think that transgender is the most important thing. Sorry. You need to fix yourself. Don't even worry about it. We're not going to worry about you voting for me right now until you repair your thought process, because that's not the most important issue. right? So we're going to have a lot of fun in this, but we're going to be hammering the fact that there's no reason to not be united at this point. We have a cabal mechanism from both sides that cannot stand you. They hate you. You're parasites to them, but the real parasites are the controllers.
You know, Lewis, I think the important thing is you're going to be the first candidate in U.S. history that steps forward and addresses the depth of this entire satanic realm running the world, and you're going to come right at it. Nobody has the balls to do it, but you got nothing to lose. You've been a wrecking machine out here already, you know, doing this kind of damage. When we talk about the world be united, now whether this is true or not, who knows? We'll find out. I think there are two things, because I think what truly unites the world isn't just the exposure of this horrible shit. I think it's something positive that has a real impact on everybody. And here's what I think: one of two things. I said this back in 2020, 2021, probably 2020. I think I wasn't on Patriot Street Fighter. I wasn't podcasting, just a radio show. But I said, I'm thinking this thing through, folks, and because of the rumor mill and all those things that are out there, and all the disparities that we saw in this world event that happened is considered a world event. And I said, the one thing, in my opinion, that could unite the entire planet. There's a second one too. I'm going to talk about that. Get your thoughts. The one thing that would instantly unite the world, bring the world to its knees in tears, would be the reemergence of JFK Jr. Onto the world stage, saying, "This is why I chose to do what we did," and because he can explain this culmination of where we got ourselves. And on the backside of all this is, folks, every one of you who have been suffering. Now, this is a second part. If that's not true, the other thing would be exposed enough to show them, folks, our creator, whatever you want to call our creator, God, Allah, the Almighty, whatever the creator is to you, source, created this realm for an incredible human experience, for all the spiritual beings who inhabit this place. We're here for this reason, to have this spiritual elevation, this high vibration, this incredible experience in what most of you know was once Eden. Eden was taken from us, right? So they took Eden because they took all the resources of the world, all things that were meant for all humanity, and they sequestered them and made it a world of scarcity. So you all would fight each other for survival resources. Of course, you're going to come to that type of a world. However, what we have done let's just say this was Junior saying it if he would be alive, what has been underway since my father was assassinated, murdered by these people, and what we've been doing since I had to leave the world stage is we have been amassing the military and political power to bring this thing down, these people, and take control of all of the resources. And the fact of the matter is, it's going to take us a little time to roll out. Be patient, but there's enough wealth on this earth so every last of one of you humans, all of you, could be living like a multimillionaire. Live the life that your creator intended for you. This is where the world's going. I think that message, if it would even be plausible, would be something that would get the attention of everybody suffering in the world. Like, oh my God, we can really have a easy, beautiful life, accomplish our dreams. And not only that, but the messenger be somebody of that stature that is unquestionable by any. Because think about it. Take one name that the whole world knows, the whole planet, every human has to know this virtually, is Donald Trump. Who's another one that is so iconic in American history, America's favorite son. If that is a possibility, that's the first thing that hit my brain on that post. The world will be united. How the hell do you do that? It's got to be something in that realm or something similar, if it's not that exactly. What do you guys think about either of those possibilities?
Scott, you're going to love this. July 2025, my first film that ever came out was 2020 Vision. And I put there's two keystones to people waking up immediately. One is the evidentiary keystone, and the other one's the emotional keystone. And that emotional keystone is showing JFK Jr. coming out as alive. And that was 5 years ago in July, this month. So even back then, you and I were on the same page. You and I probably didn't even know anything about each other. So what's interesting about this is I got a call from somebody shortly after that. He said, I just got to let you know you're dead on, but you're way ahead of the curve. You probably should re-release this in a few years.
No kidding. Can you tell us who that call was from, or can you not say?
I can offline.
Okay. No kidding.
Yeah,
What
I
do you
can see
think,
him
Mike?
coming back and running for president. So I think, imagine him running for president.
Oh, wow.
That'd be incredible. And it's kind of, you and I have been talking tactical civics for a long time.
Mhm.
And I think that if we go that route, we're going to basically, start to shut this down.
Yeah, overnight, Mike. I was just on this morning with General Paul Valley and kind of talking about laying this thing out. And again, I saw tactical civics. I read this compendium in 2020 when I first started a radio show. I was like, this is incredible. Did a radio show, read a bunch of stuff. I'm like, what an incredible plan. I did another one because I needed a filler for a show I was probably unprepared for, and I went through it again. And then I brought Zuniga on, and then the Three Amigos podcast, which exploded and created this massive movement of tactical civics. Again, I think nothing, if however we get there, and if we get to that point where we now reinstitute the founders architecture, the constitutional county grand jury, where the people in the counties control everything in the county, dragnets, nobody can get through to the next levels of power. They'll cleanse the system from the bottom up. With all of that, even if we don't get to that point, which I believe we will, the fact of the matter is, it's been the one unifying message I've seen across the country for the last 2-3 years since we started fueling it. Because, and as I've said to people, I'm glad you brought it up. I've said this to many people that reach out to me and want me to, get engaged in what they're doing because they're trying to save the republic. And I say the same thing to all of them. I love what you're doing. Keep doing it. The country needs it. But as far as my participation, because you believe this can save the republic if we have enough people, I always say the same thing. You only have two problems. Number one is you're untested and you're unproven. Okay, even if it's good work, you're untested and unproven to save the republic or restore it. And number two, we're out of time. We're beyond out of time. The only thing that I know that was absolutely proven, you got to look over your shoulder backwards 250 years. It's right there. The Constitution, county grand jury, certified standing militia. Right, so that was the enforcement arm for all matters in the county, and my, knowing we wouldn't get to this before this all comes down wasn't my point. My point was getting people unified in their counties, communities, cross counties, working together on a common mission. On top of that, trying to think of the word. The CIA's conspiracy theory, militia is a bad thing, militia is a bad word, don't say militia. I'm like, fork that bullshit. It's in the Constitution. I'm not backing up on that. But get the people who want to be part of a certified standing militia required by the Constitution, are military guys in local communities already talking. If the shit hits the fan, who are we going to look at? Going to look at Mike, what the hell do we do?
Yep.
Okay, guys, here's exactly how we protect our community. For me, that was the most important driving force, because if this stuff would kick off, of all the infiltration of terrorists and weapons, man, Mike, panic is the first worst thing that can happen in that situation. You're done. But if you're methodical, systematic, calm down, here's what we're doing. Boom, 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 boom. We have a fighting chance. Anyways, your further comments.
Real quick, you have a little leverage there you may not know about. I believe it was April or May that President Trump on whitehouse.gov said, it literally quoted how important it is to have a standing militia.
No shit.
So go back there. I have it. I'll find it for you. And because he did these things in succession and nobody picked up on it. But I don't get any traction on my X because it's so suppressed. But he did these things in succession. He literally was telling you that and telling you this and then telling you about 250 years Revolutionary War. Boom, 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 like this. But one of them literally is about the militia. While Mike's talking, I'll actually see if I can find it for you.
Yeah, good.
So I say this many times, I'll jump on this again. I'm going to jump on it again. I told you Trump is following me. He's talking about certified standing militia. He started using Thunderstruck in the campaign, coming on the stage. And I saw 2 posts on X where he used the word milk toast, spelled properly, MILQUE toast, and then some other disparaging comment. I was like, why didn't you just say pussy? Milk toast pussy.
Until he says screw big gov, I don't believe he's following me. Let me see what I can find.
Well, if he ever says the love vibration, we know where that's coming from. Trump says we got to get back into the love vibration. We're like, holy cow, get Jaco on the phone. Hurry.
So we know that basically Russia threw off USSR and the people. How did they do it? Through tactical civics. And they started going after all of the pedophilia stuff. That was one of the first things that got everybody united. And then they started to have their own court systems because they had to work outside, to sound familiar, outside of their corrupt system. And then they started to take down the people that were involved in it. And now, because they're very focused on, God and everything, and they built all these churches around there. So they're amazing now. They threw off the USSR. And now, what do the Democrats want to do? They want to make them communists. And they have a guy in New York who's going to be a communist. He's already a communist. And the same thing up in, I think, Michigan. There's another guy running for mayor.
Minnesota, right? Minnesota.
There you go. You're right.
So, what do you think the purpose of guys? What is do you believe that Mamdani and this clown from Somalia up in Minnesota or Minneapolis, wherever he is, of being now they're pushing these guys out into the front? Do you think that this is happenstance? They're so stupid they're running faster toward what has taken them down, basically with Trump, wiping them out? Or is this the alliance deploying their plan, having these characters do these things, so they bring to a reality? In the Q post, it said, in the end, or before it's all said and done, the deep party will cease to exist. Is that what's happening here? Are they carrying this out through the plan, or are these people for real? Like Mamdani, is he this? I mean, and the New Yorkers, are these people this stupid to continue to get more of what's crushed them, or is this being gamed out?
I think they're going to get what they vote for. They want.
Do you think they believe it? Do you think these people believe this ideology?
It's going to move. It's moving that direction because the economy is so crushed, and there's so many people out of work now. They're not really putting that out there, and so many people are getting no money and so forth. And what is communism? It's like everybody gets money, so that's why they're going to go for it.
Interesting.
I think it's both. Yeah, I believe it's who they really are, but I believe at this point it's controlled. But then again, I'm the same knucklehead that thinks AOC is an actor for the good side, not the bad side.
I agree.
We've heard that too. I mean, who knows? Look, the only case you can make for that is not even in America. In the Democratic Party, can anybody be this stupid?
That's exactly
this
what
stupid. It's not possible, even in the Democratic Party, right? Well, I heard that they put, I don't know how many. What was it, Mike? 20 million or 30 million in an account for her to basically play the part of making the whole country the same people hate her guts, and using her as the dumbest person to ever sit in Congress next to Barbara Boxer.
Yeah, so they're constantly putting more money into, at least the Democrats did, putting more and more money into all these things that are basically destroying America. So that's what the Russians did. That's what they did to Russia. Where was that funded from? That was funded from New York. So the overthrow of Russia was funded through Ukrainian communists in Manhattan. So they have they're continuing the same thing. So I think, vote this guy in.
I'll tell you, if that information comes out, and it can't come out soon after this is done, it's going to be down the road in history because.
Yeah, that's what I agree.
Yeah, that I'll say, okay, guys, if you want to put that, seal those files for 75 years, all the bullshit they seal should never be sealed. That is okay with me. Seal that up because if they find out that her side, or say the Democrats, liberal side, socialist side, finds out that this was done by force, they're gonna. I mean, they will whatever is tear the country to pieces because of it. They just will. They flip the hell out. But what happens, do you think, on the world stage, in your opinion, when this happens, when this first big move happens, whether it be an Obama arrest, exposure, the Bushes, 911, where do you think we're going to see the input come from on the world stage of countries standing up, supporting us? Do you see a Vladimir Putin say, folks, I'm going to tell you what they're saying over there is true. I've got all the evidence and I can run it on, RTTV for the next month. You can watch for yourself. They're telling you the truth. I think the unification of world leaders like that, like a President Xi, Putin, Trump, and others coming forward and saying, this is 100% absolute. We've all worked together behind the scenes to get this information out to you people so you can understand what happened to the planet. I mean, that just came out of my head. Is that plausible, that kind of support coming?
We're really already seen it from Russia, because we've seen Vladimir Putin has said that Americans don't realize they're eating themselves. They're eating each other. Now, a lot of us have said, stay away from some of those fast food restaurants. I'm not going to name them so we don't get in trouble here, but he came out and said it. Imagine, that's going to come out too, that we've basically been eating our own people in these fast food restaurants. So that's another thing. So Putin's already trying the best he can. That Trump is there, and they exchange the soccer ball and the balls in your court, president. And so I think Vladimir Putin is basically destroying NATO, which is Nazis, and Ukraine, which is Nazi, has been used to human trafficking and all that stuff for a while.
Yeah, I think I think people are going to be surprised. One of the countries to come out the strongest will be Turkey, because Turkey has been doing disclosures on this that have been ignored for a decade, I think, or whenever their current president came in, suddenly they started doing disclosures like crazy, literally on their mainstream news media that has just gone completely ignored, and then about 2 years ago just got shut down. Erdogan, I believe his name is.
Erdogan, yeah.
It just got shut down for some reason. I think it was a too much too fast type thing, because they were disclosing 9/11, they were disclosing adrenochrome. I mean, they were just on it. It was literally one of my go-to places to, funny enough, to watch disclosures, as I would watch certain Turkish news channels. So we'll see. I have a feeling that may be a shocking place, and that's because they have it all. They had stuff that I hadn't even seen before, that we couldn't get out here in on any of our media, social media for sure. So I don't know. I think Mike's right though. And Russia's been disclosing this, or Putin's been disclosing this stuff for a while. So he's primed, ready to go. I'm sure he has everything. He probably has his 3 days of his disclosure all set up and ready to press the button. He'll be like, "Hey Trump, just go ahead, just send them our way," right? Just like Mike's saying, go to RT or whatever. I believe we are coming up on the most fascinating time in the history of the world. I think people believe this last 10 years have been the most fascinating. I think that the next few months may trump the last 10 years. I believe that's how much stuff's, but it has to. If we're really going to have a paradigm shift, which again I mentioned in my video 5 years ago, if we're going to have a paradigm shift, the way to do it, in my opinion, if anybody's watched that, all four of you that have watched that,
Yes.
it's to show that here's conspiracies that were real, that 50 years ago were called fake, right? So now you know it's possible. So now open your mind up. Let's have a paradigm shift, and let's look at these. Could these be real also? And then just lay out the evidence. Boom, boom, boom. So the way I started it is I started it with MK Ultra was called fake, but now it's 100% proven to be real. The Tuskegee experiment was called fake. It's 100% proven to be real. The Gulf of Tonkin was proven to be completely real. So these are the conspiracies that I say, guys, these are all labeled as fake radical conspiracies years ago, and now they're all real. So is it possible? And then I laid out all the conspiracies of today. I have a feeling they'll probably use that technique because I think it's a good technique in order to open people's minds. But we have to ask questions, because using the Socratic method gets them to answer the question inside of them instead of us telling them. You tell them, they have a barrier. You ask the questions, they have to open up and bring that inside of themselves, and they'll answer it themselves. So it's a fascinating time, but I suggest that this next 10 months will trump the last 10 years, and will just blow our minds. Even us that think we know, don't know.
Well, they say it's going to be biblical. It's another post. Multiple times it's going to be biblical, which tells you basically what you guys are saying. This is going to be cataclysmic when it all starts to unfold. It's going to be cataclysmic. Like you said, I think we're going to be shit shocked. We're like, holy Mary, Mother of God. And not just what they're going to reveal, but watching the world transform itself. I mean, you think about, my grandmother told me what it was like when they had, VJ Day, right? She said, and this is back in the 40s, right? And growing up in the same town I grew up in, lived right beside us. She said it was amazing. People coming out into the streets, because back then everybody had to have all of their windows blackened out and covered up, because Altoona, Pennsylvania, she grew up as a kid in Altoona, which is literally 35 minutes from here south. That was the number one bombing target of Japan during World War II, because that's the hub of Conrail. The entire railway system is hubbed right there in Altoona. And so you go from that and the fear of all that to the day you're people taking rolls of toilet paper and chucking them so they, unfold and they're like streamers. She said the streets were just covered. People out in the streets hugging each other, dancing, throwing whatever everywhere, in a celebratory fashion. Imagine what this looks like this day when it starts to unfold. I mean, for everybody to feel this in their soul, like, oh my God, like for us, we know what's happening, but for people to start learning about what the world should have been like, what it's going to be like, because they've got to have something there that's going to give them the joy of their spirit to unify, right? Can't you really unify in horror or sorrow? I mean, to a degree you can, but something that's that magnanimous, that's going to show the world there is a God, there is a creator, there is a, the state of bliss or whatever, and now you're going to get it, right? I think it'd be something just beyond even our comprehension. Do you know how much fun it's going to be to do our shows from that moment forward?
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of this. The economic collapse is going to be a big deal too.
Good point. Yeah, we kind of forgot about that. Yeah, that's going to be one.
Needs to happen, by the way. I know I get people upset with me, but I think we're going to have to reset the economy in order to fix everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, that might be what now comes the pain may really be all about. I've speculated that at times. Now comes the pain, and the pain is, an economic collapse, and all the fear that comes with that. But that's the one thing that gets others who still don't believe in this. I haven't said this recently in the last year, probably 18 months. The reason why this has to happen, because people have to get unbelievably pissed. How's this possible that America has a complete economic collapse? Oh, well, now that you're asking, let me tell you why. And integration, and then there could be the unifier right there in a great way. These bastards did this to our country. Where are they? Calm down, sit down. We got this. But it could just be that economic ass beating that the people that are doing well. Look, you guys know this. I talk this about California. A lot of great friends out there. A number of them are very wealthy, and they were around me for a long time, doing all the things I was doing. I was a pain in the ass, I'm sure, by what always come out of my mouth. Is one thing, again, they're not too worried about it because their lifestyle is pretty nice. Like, oh, my life's good. I'm okay with the way it is. Of course you are. But the only comparative analysis you can do with these people is like John being projected, into the future to see what it's really like. Try to get that done for these people to say, you think the way you're living is worth $100 million? You think that that's really incredible? Let me show you what it should be like for you. You know, project them in the future. This is what it should have been like. You're getting screwed. You're just getting screwed at a much higher level than the rest of us and the rest of the planet. That's why you like what you see around you. So I don't know. I think it's almost anybody's guess what this is going to look like, but inevitably it's going to be truly epic. It has to be. Has to be.
Yep.
Yep. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Any one last topic I'll let you guys throw out there before we close out the show. What's weighing on your mind as much as anything else right now about this state of the war?
Well, I wish people would step back before they get too black-pilled, including friends of mine, right? And I watch this, and it's like, guys, you don't have to believe there's the Q plan or trust that plan. There's clearly a plan going on, and for us to get triggered so quickly when Trump said something, like, for example, I think he completely disrespected we the people with his post, but that's completely out of character for him. So for me, that is now probably my favorite book ever.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? Sorry, I'm not bashing the Bible. I don't consider it a book. The Art of War, because it seems to be so obvious now when I'm starting to look at this stuff, and immediately, if you just look how thin this book is. Just freaking read it. Just read this book. It's so thin. If we just step back for a second now and we have an understanding of the way the Art of War works, when this stuff comes out, we don't get triggered. Like my wife even said, "What do you think about this?" She doesn't get triggered by any of this, right? And I said, "Well, he's calling you a fool." But why? Why would he do that? Why would he call his base fools? Right? That's not in his character. It wasn't in his character when they were doing oppressor on the flood, and he interrupted and stopped Pam Bondi from talking, and he lit into that reporter about Epstein. These are calculated moves in order to garner a specific response. And that response he's looking for is not to get blackpilled and say, "I'm done with you," right? I think there's two responses. One response is from the deep state. So they go, "Oh, look at, he's running from this, so we're going to run towards it." That's response number one. Response number two, and this is the one that not everybody agrees with me, is I think he's trying to create a responsibility in us where we say, "Hey, I believe the man. I love what you're doing, but don't talk to me like that. Stand up." I think he wants people to stand up and go, "That part's not acceptable. And guess what? I love everything you're doing, but we're not going to drop the Epstein conversation. We're going to push forward on that." Why? Because that's a test. Because as long as we're in idolization mode, we're not moving forward and we're not earning or deserving what is to come. We have to get out of that mode. What better way to get out of that than the guy that is bringing us out of it to say, "Hey, wait. No, I disagree with that." And it's okay for you to question him. Everybody needs to understand it is okay for us to question. I have a belief that I think that's what he's looking for. He's looking for people to say, "Nope, I'm not good with that one." I'm going to give you a great example. I'm going to use Mike for an example. I'm indifferent on General Flynn because he's the PSYOP master. So I decided not to weigh in on that. Right. But Mike's all in on the way we're going in the Great Awakening, so on and so forth. But at the same time, he has challenges with General Flynn. That's courage. That means he doesn't have to, we don't all have to agree with each other. He's taken a courageous position. I may not agree with him or disagree with him, but that's the way I think we should all operate. And I believe this is what Trump's trying to help train us in general, we the people, to do.
It's a good point.
Yeah, Operation Warp Speed is a good example.
Great example. Yeah.
Full on, like Trump is all behind us. Let's go. No, you need to do your own research. And all of us were like, "Don't do it," but people didn't listen. And the same thing with Epstein. He's doing the same thing. Same thing with Bitcoin. Bitcoin will go away. XRP, probably not. XLM? Probably not. But he's all in. He's all in. And everybody's kind of like, oh, yeah, Trump's all in. And so we can use this to overcome the world with this. It's not going to happen. He's going to use that to crush the system and start a new system. So you have to do your own research. And that's what he wants you to do. Critical thinking on your own.
Once again, another post. Learn to think for yourself. Trust yourself. And I think that's true. I think that's a sort of a two-faceted move by him saying and doing the things that he does. Number one, to show people it's okay to be oppositional to one of your public figures, leaders, or whatever, because blind faith does one thing. It leads you into the path of darkness if you just have blind faith. We have to be in the habit of questioning everybody, and anybody who's honorable, like Trump, he's not going to be pissed. He's not going to be mad if somebody says that's bullshit, because again, they have to retrain how we think about liberty. We can't give carte blanche approval to anybody about anything. Now, we probably wouldn't either if we hadn't followed the intel that we were gifted. The greatest gift in, I think, humanity thus far has been this operation. Number one, to teach us to think for ourselves, trust ourselves, do our own research. Those are the three primary. Think for yourself, trust yourself, do your own research. Those three things right there. Those three things can teach us to be what we should be, which is always, always, always looking out for our own communities, who's in positions of power, to make sure they're always doing right by us. So that being part of it. Number two is, again, Sun Tzu, Art of War. This is how you carry out a battle plan. Misinformation is real. It's necessary. It's how things have to be done. And I think there's so many more lessons in this whole thing, the way Trump has conducted this. Now, I'm going to give Trump all the credit. We know this has been a military op for 60 years since they killed him. There's a lot of brilliant and incredible humans who will never be known, who sacrificed their lives having lived it here, or sacrificed their lives, period, at the inception of this thing. But you're talking about multiple generations, across generations, going into the military, handed the baton, being betrayed by the traitors inside, or all these things these people had gone through to get us to this point in time. There's a lot of heroes in this. At the end of the day, I think what this causes us to do, the way they've done it, is help us elevate our consciousness, not just spiritual, but conscious thinking and awareness of everything and everybody around us who aren't us, that are suffering in ways we couldn't even imagine. So from that point of view, I personally think that Trump's conduct has been bulletproof. Mike, you said it, Operation Warp Speed. Two things here. Warp Speed could have been the deployment of something else that hasn't revealed itself, or Warp Speed was they're going to shut the world economy down for 10 years because the fear tactic is working. How do we crush the fear tactic? Get a vaccine, right? And then have these guys go to work on it. And maybe they did screw him, that they put out, the mRNA bioweapons and all that out there. But at the same time, the casualty rate, which is horrific, on that is a hell of a lot less than 2 billion people. That was going to happen very quickly if they had their way, right? It's war.
Can I give a C to that real quick? You did the A and the B. Or the C could have been, we already knew 2030 was in the process, right?
That too.
And so knowing that, they've been preparing, and I can tell you since 2009, at least they were preparing for this, because that's when they changed all the main dictionaries, the definition of the word pandemic. The definition of the word pandemic virtually went from people dying in the street to whatever 3-letter agencies tell you it is. That was 2009. They changed those dictionaries. So this has been in the plan for a long time. I propose maybe, and I was lucky enough to see 6 slides of the actual vaccines, the DNA of the vaccines. And you had one that definitely was a kill shot, another one that was diluted, and then one had nothing. It was a total placebo. My belief is maybe they already have these rolled out. They knew they were going to do these, but they didn't have enough time to manufacture them. So Trump pushed them, accelerated the plan, knowing that unfortunately some people are going to die. But I guess what? It's not going to be billions of people, right? It's going to be millions. And unfortunately, you had to get these out. And boom, guess what? They had to dilute them themselves, and because they had to get them out, and then they had to start putting placebos all over the place. That's the only option, in my opinion. I think he literally put their backs against the wall, and they need to act. And I believe that most likely somehow Trump and the team, and I was telling my military son this, took control of the military vaccines and mainly got placebos out to the military because he couldn't control. You couldn't control what was going in the hospitals, but they certainly couldn't control what was going into the bases, because when they got sent in, as you know, guys, they requisition everything and they could have just changed them out and put something else there. That's my hypothesis.
In the military too, so they did kill a lot of military members and injure them for life. But I think that Operation Warp Speed, if they had gotten Hillary in there like they were supposed to, those Georgia Guidestones would have become real. 500 million left. So Operation Warp Speed, as we're going to find out, was critical, and they pulled it off.
Yeah, well, Mike, they obviously had. Did they have that plan in the making? I mean, we know they intercepted the 16-year plan to take down the country, 8 Obama, 8 Hillary, threw sand in those gears by getting Trump in power. That aspect of it, do you think they saw that coming? Because we know they had to change their battle plan once theirs was derailed. So I'm kind of curious how you see that. If they gamed it out long before, if they do this or they do this, we'll do this. Or do you think they made that one on the run, created that on the run?
No, they gamed it out, and they knew it was coming long before. They were taking out actors already, just like they're taking out actors right now in the big cities, where they pulled in a lot of really bad people. And you have the whole ICE is now the police, ICE. So you have them in there basically doing work that the police wouldn't be able to do. So they're in there taking down terrorists and all these bad actors, Cabalists that are. They do. I saw this when I was in the Middle East. They use ISIS basically to start taking down the Middle East. So this dark web is everywhere. So they use the same people to come here to America, and they're going to take down America just like they were trying to use ISIS, as well, because Trump came in and basically hammered ISIS. Remember, right away. So they're here in America now. That type of ISIS actor is here, and they've been taking some of them out with ICE, the new police. So it's happening, but they're not. It's not enough. They're still going to get hammered, and this is kind of like Operation Warp Speed. It's already been activated. They would have basically taken us down with this second level of, because they have everything stacked up. If this fails, we got this. If this fails, we got that. They're very clever. Not as smart as we are, but they're very clever. And so we basically, through this operation of coming out with Trump again, he was supposed to be elected again.
Yeah.
But they surprised him again. And got had the Bush, the Clinton, Obama there at his election. So it's inauguration. So they're there. They have to come. I think it's all part of the game. They all know they're going to go down. It's just a matter of when, like we all been saying, not if, but when.
Now that you mentioned that, there's got to be another Tomahawk missile already on its way to deliver payload, and that's the exposure of the stolen election in 2020.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
showing all of that, and then basically the world's going to see an unraveling of every single law and move and appointment and whatever undone in this country, because they were all illegitimate because of an illegitimate president who stole an election. Hell, you could probably take that back generations of how many have been stolen, but undoing all of that stuff. The one primary that sticks in my mind, Ketanji Brown's got to go. She wasn't, nominated by a real, actually a living president, but another character actor, who stole an election.
Think about that. Yeah.
Where do you go from there? It's just basically taken every document that was ever created during, that 4-year period and digitally cataloging all of it for history, but then putting it in a massive pile, laying it on fire in front of the world and saying, none of it counts. They stole an election. They were illegitimate. We just undid everything. It's all going to be fascinating. Like, I think you might've said it earlier, Lewis, or one of you guys said, people are pissed off all the time because shit's not happening the way they wanted. I'm just like, how can you not be like so overjoyed that your soul was injected right here in that vessel, that meat suit, for you to watch this and be part of this unbelievable transcendental history and time of the human species? Are you kidding me? We're going to watch us kick Satan's ass and all of his minions and get all their toys. How can you not be pumped? This is the most fun. Everybody's saying, I want this just done and over with. I'm like, shit, are you kidding me? I've been waiting for something for 30 years to happen, and it's happening. Keep the channel on, for Christ's sakes. I want this show to go on, right?
Absolutely.
I'd have never known you guys and the camaraderie and the bond that we share is it might even come close to the vibrational frequency, Mike, of you guys being in battle when your lives are being taken around you. You have that love of your brothers around you that never goes away. And I think for us, that camaraderie is just, incredible. I mean, the day I snuck up on you thinking I'm using my charity tactics of silence to sneak up on Jaco at the down to the JFK assassination site. And I'm pretty convinced when I did, he knew I was there the whole time, kind of threw a little sand in that. I'm like, shit, I know I could have snuck up on him. Just stuff like that. Those stories. I remember that day I forget who was, I got a text from somebody that said, hey, are you home in Dallas? Yeah. Get down to the plaza. Mike Jaco's down there. I was on my way out of town or wasn't going anywhere, just north of Dallas. I'm like, turn this thing around. We're going down there to find out Mike Jaco. Sneak up on him, give him a hug, which I did. Just cool stuff like that, and getting to work with you, Lewis, and discover the amazing work you've been doing for years and the heavyweight information that in the intellect you bring to all this, and having our unruly little brother Nino, to play with. How can you not just say what an epic time we've had in all this? So I think what's going to be so beautiful is on the backside when we put together our own cruise, to Alaska or somewhere where we come together like maybe a dozen of us, and our audiences come in like 4,000 people on a cruise ship, to have this big, huge celebration that we won the battle for Earth and the human soul. There's a lot of really beautiful stuff going to come in the back end, man. And I tell you, it's going to be truly epic. Truly epic.
It is epic, and it's been fun, and it's been tiring too. If anybody understands how this battle weighs on many of us, and I'm not just talking about podcasters. I'm talking, grandmas at home where your kids still refuse to see you because you made a choice that you knew that was the righteous choice. I hope there's redemption for all the good people that stuck with us. They deserve it.
Yeah, and all you beautiful souls watching this, just understand, I said this from the beginning, my own personal mission, Patriot Street Fighter mission, isn't mine, it's yours, it's ours. We have no mission without these audiences. You gave us, you folks watching this, all of you have seen this. Don't ever underestimate your value in this war. Without you, no victory. You pushed out the information everywhere. You took our information, you made stands with friends and family. It cost you relationships. It cost you marriages. It cost you time with your grandchildren. You paid a horrific price. All of you did too. So don't ever underestimate this war and your contribution. You did it with us, and we're blessed to have all of you. So guys, as always, as I seen right in here, like looking in the chat room and seeing the things guys are saying about you guys, it's always fun because there's a lot of love for you guys. It's so cool to watch. So I appreciate you always, at the drop of a hat, yep, let's do Roundtable. It's our favorite show. Mine. It's the audience's favorite show. So we gather together here. It's always a great, heartwarming night after we're done with the show. So thanks, guys, for giving me that as well. Much love to you, mad respect.
Much love, yeah, definitely. Thanks to everybody.
Appreciate you, boys. Thank you very much. God bless everybody out there. We've got this. We really do.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Jaco, Lewis Herms, and our unruly little brother Nino. Say that for him. He had to bug out for his folks. And with that, I will say much love. Good night. Patriot Street Fighter out.